Can Waterhouse cool down a red-hot Racing United? Can Arnett bounce back against the defending champs? And it's a case of will he, won't he stay at the PFJL for Owen Hill? We got all this and more on this Match Week 2 preview show. Yeah, people, welcome back to Jump Hill Fan. After an exciting start of the season, it's already time for take 2. And we just have to start in Jerusalem for this mouth-watering clash. Firehouse, for the most part, had a breezy opening to the season. Apart from causing their own problems sometime at the back, Waterhouse were in full control against Molynes United and already looking like a team in sync. Colorado Murray made a big impression on his second debut, and if Mario Sims also have another good game like the one he did last week, they should pose some trouble on Sunday. But I will tell you, right now, there's no team with more confidence than Racing United. They should be on cloud 9 after that impressive 5-1 victory over Arnett Gardens and will most likely definitely walk into Jerusalem without any fear. And I don't expect them to change much from the aggressive pressing style they used on Monday. One could argue that Waterhouse, however, has better team chemistry than the Junglers at the moment and thus may be better equipped to play through the press. But their defense is where things may unravel. Chris Paul and Elvis Wilson did look good against Molynes last week, but this racing attack will be a much sterner test. Also, both teams will need their number 10, Nikai Ellis or Denari Thomas, to play at their best to stand the best chance of victory. As for their recent history, these two tied their 3-game series last season with 1 win each and a draw. But expect fireworks when Waterhouse hosts Racing United this Sunday at Jerusalem at 4 p.m. Harborview versus Phoenix Chapelton Maroons. Another team that should be buzzing are the Phoenix Chapelton Maroons. It's no better feeling than getting your first win playing in front of your own fans for the first time in the league. Levon Williams was the goal-scoring hero on the day, but the tireless work of Malik Stevens and Sabina Park were just as crucial. But their performance were far from perfect as they allowed the game to be a little bit too open for my liking and should have been punished many times on the counter by Tivoli Gardens. Words that should be welcome to the ears of Harborview, who need all the help they can get. The Stars of the East started last season lacking goals, so Harborview fans must have had a spell of PTSD when they saw all those glorious chances against 10-man Cavalier being squandered. But I believe they will have their chances against the Maroons, just like Tivoli did, who especially found space down Chapelton's left-hand side. So it will be an early chance at redemption for Rowan Brown, who normally plays on that side of the field. Also, it will be interesting to see if Trayvon Reed is now fit enough to start the match rather than joining at a halftime break. So it all sounds like a fun time when Harborview takes on Phoenix Chapelton Maroons 3 p.m. this Sunday at Stadium East. Portmore United versus Tivoli Gardens. And speaking of Tivoli Gardens, they put in a decent fight in their opening match against the Maroons, but just ran out of steam. The main reason for that was their inability to make subs, with only just 2 players being available from the bench in last week's encounter. It's crazy to even consider playing a top-flight match on the road with only 13 players, and here's hoping they got their new players registered in time for this weekend's matchup with Portmore United. The Sun City boys did just enough to get the dub in the Portmore derby and will be looking to keep the good times rolling with another win. They most likely would have to do it without Tyreek Zimenez, who exited the derby with what looked like a nasty injury, but they do welcome back Gawain Austin, who returned to the club this week after playing for Chapelton Maroons last year. He's a true centre-back, but he does have some decent pedigree at right back and maybe the right player to cover for Zimenez's absence. As for the attack, Tej Bryan was okay in the last match, but I would be surprised if both Marcus Reed and Peter McGregor don't get the start from coach Rudolph Austin on Sunday. As for Tivoli, it's not official, but all signs point to talisman Nicola Fuller being available to play this weekend. But regardless who plays, here's hoping for an entertaining affair when Portmore United takes on Tivoli Gardens at Stadium East. Spanish Town Police FC versus Dunbeholden. In more than one way, it was a frustrating start to the season and Portmore derby for Dunbeholden. They started the game slightly the better team but lost their way in the second half. Some are already questioning the team's lack of game changers on the bench that can come onto the field and rally them to victory. But at least some of their new signs are okay to good in their one match played so far. Pennycook looks great at the back and Nelson looked like he had never left. But Turner will surely have better nights in Dunbeholden blue. But luck is on their side this weekend. Not only will they face a newly promoted team in Spanish Town Police FC, but what should be an away game would actually be at their home ground thanks to Police FC inability to play at the Prison Oval. Dunbeholden is a near unplayable team on their own patch, so Police will have their work cut out for them this weekend. They put up a decent showing against Treasure Beach last week, but they will have to do better in the final third to trouble Dunbeholden on their own field. Especially when you consider they should be facing a rookie goalkeeper at this level, as it is expected Wilmot will continue to deputize in goal for the injured Peter Harrison after the latter's horrific injury. Regardless, it's a St. Catherine battle when Spanish Town Police FC hosts Dunbeholden this Sunday at 3 p.m. Arnett Gardens vs Cavalier. One team that stole the headlines on opening weekend, albeit for all the wrong reasons, was Arnett Gardens. The Junglers entered this season off the back of finishing third in the playoffs and was looking to kick on onto something greater despite bringing in a new head coach. But to be dismantled 5-1 on day one by Racing wasn't on the bingo cards at all. Sure, the squad lost some quality players over the off-season and few of those that are there returned to team training a little bit late, but it could be a little concerning just how easily they lost the physical battle to Racing. I know they face a team that are seasonal masters of such tactics in defending champs Cavalier. Coach Rudolph Speed would no doubt would have seen Arnett struggling with the high press and will definitely make sure his team at least start the game testing the Junglers' mettle against it again. But the question will be how long will the players able to keep it up. It may only be 4 games so far in the season for the Duncan Destroyers, but they did look a bit tired towards the end of their Caribbean Cup match this past Thursday, so we may see the high press in spurts. What may help is slowly but surely Cavalier new signings are becoming available, and maybe they will have additional 2 of them will be ready for Arnett Gardens match this weekend. We have already seen both Denzel McKenzie and Michael Forrest make their club debut on Thursday, and the latter allowed Speed to roll out a back 3 for the first time this season. If he keeps the same idea, expect a fascinating 1v1 matchup between Arnett's ace player Rashiki Kelson, well if he starts, and Forbes down the right wing. That matchup will be key if Cavalier wants another clean sheet on Monday night. Mount Pleasant vs Molynes United. One team who seems to have no problem juggling the Caribbean Cup and league play so far is Mount Pleasant. And yeah, I know it shouldn't really be a surprise since their side is overflowing with talent. I mean, what could be considered a B team did manage to hold Montego Bay to a draw last weekend. And while I doubt coach Topper Whitmore will make just as much changes to his starting lineup for this upcoming match against Molynes, I don't expect the full starting 11 to be walking on catching all either. Jashawn Anglin was recently called up to the national team, but he did leave the match midweek early with hamstring issues, so I doubt he'll be playing this weekend. But I expect the likes of Warner Brown and Kimani Bailey to come back into the team and give a boost to the attack, which may turn out scary for Molynes, who had numerous moments of defensive lapses in their first game of the season against Waterhouse. I mean, it all feels a little deja vu when speaking about Molynes defending, but they're still bringing in players, so maybe the defense will eventually work itself out. As for their attack, they had their moments against Waterhouse, but someone like Jason Wright or Devon Davis will need to step up if they harbor any hopes of leaving Catherine Hall with a victory. But recent history is not on their side. They lost to Mount Pleasant in all 3 matches last season and allowed a staggering 13 goals in total. So, can Molynes pull off this season's first shocking upset? We will all just have to wait and see when Mount Pleasant takes on Molynes United this Monday at Catherine Hall. Montego Bay United vs Treasure Beach. That game would also be the current raiser for another intriguing matchup. Newly promoted Treasure Beach got their first 3 points since returning to the JPL when they defeated fellow newcomers Spanish Town Police FC last weekend. New signing Shaquille Jones was excellent, but fellow new signing Ryan Porter missed one or two glorious chances to get his first goals for his new club. They were largely in control versus Police, but this upcoming trip to Catherine Hall will be a whole different level. Montego United are already looking like title contenders, and under Xavier Gilbert, this team should score plenty of goals. Dwight Merrick carried his good preseason form into the new season and will be a player Treasure Beach has to keep an eye on. But it is new striker Jamari Clark who already looks to be a handful. I expect Mobay to dominate possession, so it will be interesting to see if Treasure Beach head coach Ricketts up to defend with a low block or be brave and stick to a high press. As for their head-to-head record, Mobay got the better of Treasure Beach twice thanks to both a 1-0 and 2-1 victory back in the 2023-2024 season. However, this is a brand new Treasure Beach, but can they really pull off the upset? We will find out this Monday night, 7:30 at Catherine Hall. So that's it for this week's preview, but before my predictions, let's look at some local football news, including an update on JPL broadcasting partners. Save the date, September 7th, because that is when the JPL broadcasting partners will finally be up and running. Firstly, we have to retract our reporting from last week, as the broadcast partners aren't Pivot Solutions from America, but instead Jamaican-owned Pivot LLC, and that's Pivot with 2 P's and 2 T's, that are the league's new official and exclusive host broadcasters. Starting on Sunday, September 7, 2025, the Jamaican Premier League will be aired live every week, Sundays and Mondays, for over 44 weeks, and will also be on select free-to-air and cable channels in Jamaica and across the Caribbean region. This landmark deal was under the stewardship of PFJL CEO Owen Hill, who created major headlines of his own when he announced his resignation from the role. One that came as a major surprise to everyone around the league, but apparently it was a bit too hasty, as a few days ago, in a Jamaican Gleaner article, outgoing PFJL chairman Christopher Williams expressed full support for his board's decision to reject the resignation of Owen Hill. Williams was even quoted as saying, "I don't think there's anybody on the planet that would accept Owen's resignation." So it does sound like Owen Hill will be sticking around a little bit longer. And for our final item of news, it's about the Reggae Boys, as national team head coach Steve McLaren has released his 26-man squad for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers against Bermuda and Trinidad and Tobago. The squad contains 4 players from the JPL, all from More Pleasant. In fact, a return for Shamar Nicholson, but sadly no Mason Greenwood. Here's the full squad on screen. Alright, that's it for this week's news. Now onto my ever wrong predictions. Alright, Harborview versus Chapelton Maroons. I think the Maroons actually win this one 2-1 on Sunday. Alright, Portmore United versus Tivoli. These two teams normally play out to a boring draw, and I'm kind of expecting something a little bit similar, so I'm thinking Portmore 1, Tivoli Gardens 1. Spanish Town Police FC versus Dunbeholden. Well, we yet to see how Police FC plays at home, but this is technically the home of Dunbeholden, or a Masters on their own pitch. I think Dunbeholden win this one 2-0. Waterhouse versus Racing United FC. Racing are on fire, but Waterhouse will be at home. But Racing did beat them here last time, so I'm thinking Racing will win this one in Newsland 2-1. Arnett Gardens taking on Cavalier. How are Cavalier feeling after being stunted in the Caribbean Cup? It'll be interesting to see. But how is Arnett Gardens feeling after their 5-1 disaster? But I think Cavalier is going to pick this one 2-1 as well. More Pleasant versus Molynes United. Molynes defense are not giving me too many confidence, while More Pleasant, despite them being distracted with the Caribbean Cup, is still a force to be reckoned with. More Pleasant win this one 3-0. And finally, Mobay taking on Treasure Beach. Well, at Treasure Beach might put up a decent fight, but Mobay will be too strong for them at home. I expect Mobay to win this one 2-0. But alright guys, that's all I got here for the latest match week preview show. Let me know in the comment section below your predictions for this weekend. But otherwise, please like, subscribe and share as we look to keep you all up to date on everything on the JPL leading up to the final in May. Otherwise, for great JPL content, you're already at the right place. JPL Fun. YouTube, big up yourself.